Pope Francis is asking the faithful for prayers on the 10th anniversary of his pontificate. In an interview released yesterday, the Holy Father said the Church is not a business and that he expects to be judged by how much mercy he showed others. Pope Francis also said, quote, being Pope is not easy. The Church has undergone many changes since Pope Francis began his pontificate in March of 2013. Since that time, the total number of Catholics worldwide has grown to more than 1.3 billion, up nearly 10% from March of 2013. Additionally, the number of students attending Catholic schools has also increased, up 7.3%. But there have also been losses, including 2 million fewer baptisms and a decline in the number of confirmations and First Holy Communions. So those are some of the numbers. But what is Pope Francis like as a person? And what are the things that are most important to him in his role? EWTN Vatican Bureau Chief Andreas Thonhauser recently spoke with someone who worked closely with the Holy Father.
We're here in front of St. Peter's Basilica in Rome, and with me is Alessandro Gisotti, a journalist and communicator for the Vatican since the year 2000. Alessandro, thank you so much for joining us also as we are looking at 10 years of Pope Francis. What were your personal impressions of him, and how have your encounters been with him?
Yes, I think I'm a privileged person because especially when I was the interim director of the Holy See Press Office in 2019, I had many occasions of encounter with Pope Francis and as you can imagine, when we have these meetings we spoke mostly about work, but always the Holy Father asked me about my family, how are you doing, is everything okay? And when you are with him, this is a really good memory of those meetings. Now I have less occasions than in the past. Always it's you. You really have the impression that he listens to you, he cares about you, and you are well aware, I was well aware that he has so many things to do, many meetings to attend, but at the time I was important for him. And I think that this is something that it is not only important on a personal level, but even on the professional one, because he is saying to us that every person is important. An head of state or a poor met along the way, when you meet a person, that the person is really the center of the communication.
And Pope Francis also as a communicator, what is his message to us?
You know, I think that this pontificate is underlying every day through his gestures, more even than words, because sometimes his gestures speak more than 1,000 words, the importance of the relationship, the friendship with Jesus. And in particularly underlying, giving an emphasis on the merciful of God who loves us all. And another thing that I think that is very important, that he underlines that God is always there, always waiting for us. So we are free to refuse or to accept this love, but God is always there.
What have you learned personally, maybe before I let you go, what have you learned personally from Pope Francis?
It's not an easy question. I think that the importance of listening, that is the center of some of his world day of communication messages, the importance of listening. And I wrote a book, a sort of decalogue, inspired by his messages on communication. And the first rule for him is to listening before speaking. It seems quite simple, but it's not so simple when you put in practice. And we, the journalists, the communicators, we always want to speak and to have the last word. On the social media, we want to have the last tweet, the last post on Facebook. Pope Francis is reversing this dynamic, asking us, and especially the professional communicators, to listen before communicate, because listening is the first step to have a real communication.
Alessandro, thank you so much for being with us in Rome. Andreas Thonhauser, EWTN News Nightly.